Hey, fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. Today we're going to do an ASVAB Mathematical Knowledge Practice Exam. It's from this book right here, ASVAB Math for Beginners. There's two practice exams in here. One's arithmetic reasoning. It's the two previous videos. And then today's test is mathematical knowledge. I'm going to split it into two videos as well. I'm going to do half the problems in this video, the second half in the next video. You can get this book if you want to follow along in the link below. You could either get a digital download or you could buy it on Amazon if you want. What I'd highly recommend you do in this video is have a notebook and paper and pencil in front of you, kind of do the problems, work in an organized fashion. So I'd watch the video problem, pause the video, do the problem, do the best you can, unpause the video and watch how I do it. There's a lot of tips and tricks to doing well on any standardized math exam, and I'm going to go over some of these in the video. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started right now in the Mathematical Knowledge ASVAB 2023 practice exam, and let's see how we're going to do. If you don't do very well on this, you're going to go back through that exam, see where you fell short, realize that maybe it's fractions or proportions or percentages, wherever you fall short, and then I'll have videos for those individual sections so you could hone those skills and improve them, come back to a test and do a lot better. Okay, again, this is 2023 practice test. It is a mathematical knowledge practice test. This section is 24 minutes for 25 questions. That's pretty much a minute per problem. And this is a non-calculator test. So you cannot use a calculator, so you gotta be able to do the math in your head. There are a couple ways to take this exam. One is online, so you're taking a computer test. You're still allowed scratch paper to take that computer test. Make sure you're very organized on your scratch paper. If you're actually taking the paper test, mark up the exam as much as you can, circling key ideas, underlying key points, eradicating answers that don't make sense. All right, let's get started. Problem number one, which of the following is equal to this expression? So arithmetic reasoning test, you could kind of reason your way through the problem. Mathematical knowledge is checking to see if you know all of these pieces from a math class. So I have one quantity times another quantity. The way you do that is a mnemonic device called FOIL. And what that FOIL means is you multiply the first terms, then you multiply the outer terms, then you multiply the inner terms, I, and then you multiply the last terms. So that's what FOIL is. So you have to multiply it 4 times. So I'm going to do the first terms, 5x times the 2x. 5 times 2 is 10. X times x is x squared. My outer terms are going to be these right here, 5x times a negative y. So negative times a positive will be a negative. I have that 5, the x, and the y. Then I have these inner terms, positive, positive. 2 times 2 is 4, x times y. And then my last terms. My last terms are the 2y times a negative y, which is a negative 2y squared. I'm going to look over here and see if there's any ones I could just come up with. There's only one with a 10x squared. It has to be answer D. But let me finish this so you understand this foiling process. I have a 10x squared minus 5xy plus 4xy. I could only combine similar terms, but these are similar, right? An xy and an xy. I got negative 5xy's plus 4xy's. Well, that's going to be a negative 1xy. So I combine these two terms to get a negative xy minus 2y squared. There are no more similar terms to be combined. So this is my answer. And sure enough, it was answer D, 10x squared minus xy minus 2y squared. So that's how you do it with FOIL. Again, you multiply the first terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms. So the trick on this is if you know all of this, you could just multiply the first terms together to get 10x squared, look at your answer and see it's answer D, and that's how you get it done quick. I ran through all of it just to refresh you on FOIL. Okay, number 2, what is the product? Product means multiplication of all possible values of x in the following equation. Well, these two straight bars right here are absolute value. Absolute value means everything inside of it's positive. So that means x minus 10 could be equal to 4, or everything inside of it is negative, and this makes it positive, right? So everything in here becomes positive. So that means everything in there could actually be a positive or a negative, and then made to positive. So the way I solve these absolute values is I just do a regular equation, x minus 10 equals 4, or x minus 10 equals a negative 4, because everything in here could be negative. Then I'm going to solve both those equations. Isolating the variable x, I'm going to add 10 to both sides. That's going to give me x equals 14. Here I got to get rid of this 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides, giving me my x by itself. These cancel. Negative 4 plus a 10 is 6. So those are my two solutions, and I could see they work. So I take that 14, plug it in there. 14 minus 10 is 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4, so that one works. Take that 6, plug it in there. 6 minus 10, negative 4. Absolute value of negative 4 is also 4. So both of these work. I don't see them there, but they're not looking for those answers. They're looking for the product of those two answers. Product means multiply. 14 times 6, 14 times 6, 24. Carry the 2, 84. The product of my two solutions, answer D, 84. A lot of math here. I don't think I could teach it in this short amount of time, but hopefully I'm refreshing ideas that you learned in math class. I will go back and do separate videos on just how to FOIL or how to do absolute value. But right now we're taking a practice test, doing the best we can, and see where we are. What is the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the line here? Well, a good way to do slope is get in the y equals mx plus b form. So y equals mx plus b. That's the slope intercept. B would be my intercept, m is my slope. If I get into this form, I will find the slope of this line, and then the perpendicular line to it, the perpendicular line at a right angle, is a negative reciprocal. So I got to flip it over and make it negative. So let's first get this in the slope intercept form. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides, giving me negative 2y equals negative 4x. I can't combine them, dissimilar terms, plus 6. Still getting y by itself, divide both sides by negative 2. And I have y by itself. Y is equal to negative 4 divided by negative 2, which is positive 2x minus 3. So my slope of my line is 2. And then perpendicular, right? So this thing, looks like this. Perpendicular to it's going to be that. So I got to flip that thing over. 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1. So I flip it over. I flip my slope over and make it negative. So the slope of a perpendicular line is a negative reciprocal of that slope. So there it is right there. Answer B. Number 4, what is the value of this expression when x equals 3? You can take that and plug it in. There and there. And y is equal to negative 2. So I'm going to take that and plug it in there. And that's it. So I have 6 times 3 minus 2 times negative 2 plus 2 minus 3 squared. It's a big test on order of operations. I have to do my parentheses first, then my exponents, then multiplication, division. So I'm going to have the 6 out front. 3, negative is positive, so I'm going to have 3 plus 4 plus 2 minus 3, negative 1. This is negative 1. Negative 1 squared. Negative 1 squared is 1. 7 times 6, 42. 42 plus 1, 43. Answer C. Number 5, what is the area, don't miss that, of a square whose diagonal is 4? So here's my square. My diagonal is 4. What I want to know, I don't want to know the length of a side. I want to know the area. So the test on this is, do you know the Pythagorean theorem and area of a shape? It's a square, so the right angles. The base and the height are the same, so it's x and x. Pythagorean theorem says one leg squared plus the other leg squared equals a hypotenuse squared. So we're looking at that triangle is equal to 16. I have 1x squared plus another x squared. So I have 2x squared equals 16. Divide both sides by 2, and I have x squared is equal to 8. So the length of a side is the square root of 8. It's not asking me for the length of a side. It's asking me for area. So this is going to turn out to be area, so I don't have to go backwards and find square root of 8 and the square root of 8, and then find the area. Square root of 8 times square root of 8 is going to give me that 8. This, because it's base times height, and it's also this leg squared, right, gives me the area. Answer B, right there, area of 8. Number 6, what is the value of x in the following equation? So I have an equation, I have to solve for x. I have fractions. Maybe the easiest thing to do here is get everything with a common denominator, so I could add and subtract. I can do whatever I want to both sides, but what I'm going to do here instead is multiply by 1 to get everything to a 6. I'm going to multiply this first term by a 2 over a 2. That's going to give me 4, 6, right? 2 times 2, 2 times 3. That x stays there. It's in the numerator. Plus 1 over 6. Nothing I have to do there. And I'm going to multiply this by 1, right? Numerator and denominator are the same. That's 1. Doesn't change the value of it. That's going to give me 3 over 6. Now with that done and a common denominator of 6, I could actually multiply both sides of the equation by 6 and get rid of the whole fraction, right? That'll cancel there and there. This will cancel there. And now I have 4x plus 1 equals 3. I'll subtract 1 from each side. 4x is equal to 3 minus 1, 2. Divide both sides by 4. X is equal to 2 over 4. Or I could reduce that to 1/2. Correct answer, answer B. Okay, number 7. A bank is offering 4.5% simple interest on a savings account. If you deposit $12,000, how much interest will you earn in 2 years? So simple interest means you don't compound it. So let's take that 12,000, multiply it by 4.5%. I'm going to convert that to a decimal. I think of this percent sign, way I remember to go to a decimal. So I'd start here. That arrow is telling me to go over 1, 2. Those 2 dots are telling me to go over 2. So I'm going to take that 12,000, multiply it by 0.045, and see how much interest I earn. 0, 0, 0, right? 5 times 2, 10. Carry the 1. 5 plus 1, 6. Placeholder, 0, 0, 0. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 1, 4. That 0 will go through. And I'm going to add these together. Looks like a lot, but I got to remember my decimal place. My decimal place is over 1, 2, 3. So I start over here and I go over 1, 2, 3, and I get $540 of interest in a year. It's simple interest, so I'm not going to earn interest on that. So it's $540 a year. For 2 years, I double that to get $1,080. Answer B right there. Compound interest means you earn interest on the interest you've already earned. Simple interest means you're just going to do that 9% times 12,000 to get 1080, or you could do that 4.5% and then double it. Actually, that 9% would have been an easier way to do it, because I wouldn't have had the decimal. So that would have been a good trick that I missed on that one. All right, number 8, rules of exponents. Simplify this following expression. First thing I have to do are my parentheses. So I got to bring that 3 through that whole quantity, right? So I got to take that 3 to the 2, to the x, to the y. I have those out front first. So I have 7x squared y to the third. That's what I'm starting with. Now I'm doing this. 2 to the third. 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8. So this is times 8. Here I'm multiplying my exponents. Whoops, 8. X to the 6. I'm multiplying y to the third. I'm going to combine terms. I have 7 times 8, 56. Check my answers. I got 2 answers that are going to work there. Add my x's together, right? So I got x. Now I add my exponents. X to the 8th, y to the 6th. And there's my correct answer right there. Answer D. There's my correct answer. I'll do a video on exponents, but I'll just review a couple of them really quickly here. X to the m to the power of n. Here I multiply them. X to the m times x to the n. In this case, my bases are the same. I add them. X to the m divided by x to the n. Here I subtract them. There's a few more rules, just a quick overview. Again, we're taking a practice test, see how we do. If you really have no idea what I'm talking about, we'll do a follow-up video just on exponents. Number 9, what is the surface area of the cylinder below? We're going to have to figure out the circle on the top, circle on the bottom, and then the lateral surface area. So that circle on top, area of a circle is pi r, pi r, come on pen, r squared. So that's area of a circle. Circumference, the distance around the outside, is 2 pi r. And then the area of the top of this circle, if the diameter is 4 inches, the radius, half of that is 2. So the area of the top, I take that 2 and I plug it in there. 2 squared is 4 times pi. So there's the top circle. The bottom circle is the same, so I'm going to multiply that by 2 to get 8 pi. So the top and the bottom together give me 8 pi. Now I have to find the lateral surface area, right? If I take this can, I take the top off of the can, the bottom off the can, and cut it and open it up, I can see it's going to give me a rectangle. That rectangle will have a height of 8 inches. And the length, this thing right here, is going to be the distance outside the circle, which is going to be the circumference of that circle. Again, the radius is 2. I take that 2 and I plug it in here. That circumference is 2 times pi, or 4 pi as well. So the length of this is 4 pi. The lateral surface area is going to be my height times my length, or 32 pi. Area of the top and the bottom, 8 pi. I add all that together to get, I have 8 of these plus 32 of these pi to get a total of 40 of these pi. Everything's in inches, so it's going to be square inches. Those are my units. Correct answer, answer A right there. Again, there's a lot here. There's by no way you could just learn all this areas, circle equations, everything in a couple of minutes. We're taking the practice exam. If you need more help with figuring out surface areas, we'll do a separate video to do just that. Number 10, a cruise ship left Port A and traveled 50 miles due west. So 50 miles due west, and then 120 miles due north. At this point, what is the shortest distance from the cruise to Port A? So it's asking again for this hypotenuse of a right triangle. West and north are perpendicular. Well, I know the two legs of a triangle, it's going to be 50 squared plus 120 squared equals c squared, Pythagorean theorem again. Let me just glance over at my answers. I know it can't be this because the hypotenuse has to be longest, but I can't really tell off the bat which one it's going to be. But to make it a little bit easier, I'm just going to drop these zeros off and then add one back at the end. I have one leg squared plus the other leg squared equals my hypotenuse squared. We'll call it c. 5 squared, 25. 12 squared, 144. Equals c squared. Add these together, 169 equals c squared. I don't know if you remember this, but the square root of 169 is 13. So this is 13. Then I drop that 0, so I add that 0 back on to get 130. Answer D. It's also called the Pythagorean triple, this Pythagorean theorem that works out to be integers, whole numbers. So 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Number 11, what is the equivalent temp of 104 degrees in Celsius? And they give you the equation. First thing you could do is if you've actually traveled overseas to any place that works in Celsius, you would know that 104 is pretty hot, as is 40 degrees, and you could just grab that one if you know your conversions at all. If not, you got to take that 104, plug it in here. Remember, I have to do parentheses first. 104 minus 32 is going to be 72. So I have 5/9 times 72. Does 9 go into 72? Yeah, it does. So 9 will go into itself 1 time. 9 will go into 72 8 times. Now I can just multiply across the top. 5 times 8 is 40. Correct answer, answer B. Number 12, the perimeter of a rectangular yard is 72. So all the way around is 72. What is its length if its width is twice the length? So we'll call this length. Whatever this is, the width is twice that. So I'm going to call this twice whatever that is, right? It's a rectangle, so if that's L, that's L. If that's 2L, that's 2L. Perimeter is all the way around. So I have 2L plus 2L, 4, 5, 6. I have 6L equals 72. Divide both sides by 6. L is equal to, 6 goes into 70 10 times, and then into, 10 times 6 is 60, 12 left over to get 12, 72 divided by 6. Well, 6 times 10 is 60, 12's left over. They'll go in there twice. So the 10 and the 2 give me 12. So L is equal to 12, but let's see, what is the length if the width is twice its length? So we definitely want the shorter one of 12 meters right there. Answer A. Number 13, I think I'm going to wrap it up after this problem. I don't want the video to go too long. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. I'll try and get to you as soon as I can. Sorry to say this one more time, but this is kind of a test to see how well you're going to do in mathematical knowledge. If you really didn't do very well in any of these problems, then we're going to just have to review some more. I'm going to start creating videos to help review exponents, area, whatever you might need help with, but you might as well do this practice exam first to see how it goes. Next week video will be the second half, so from 14 forward, and then after that I'll start making videos to help fill in pieces that you might not remember. Okay, number 13, what is the slope of the line? We had one similar earlier. Remember, our general equation for slope intercept is y equals mx plus b, where this is going to be slope, this is y-intercept. If I can get it to look like that, I could just take this number, and that's going to be the answer to the problem. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. That's going to give me negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 12. I have to get y by itself. Divide both sides by negative 2. That's by itself. Divide this by negative 2 and this. These will cancel. Negative 4 over negative 2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. So negative 4 divided by negative 2 is 2x minus 6. The slope of this line is 2. Correct answer, answer D right there. All right, keep studying, keep working at it. The more you practice, the better you get. I hope these videos are helpful. Remember, if you're new to the channel, think about subscribing and also giving it a thumbs up. That really helps me build my channel to help more people and make more videos. Thank you.